Just growing up here in the desert, growing up in St. George and running around all over this smooth sandstone, climbing on it when I was younger, I always kind of imagined jumping off and being a bird, like halfway up a pitch of a climb. And yeah, years later, it just kind of all came together, and I was able to kind of make that childhood dream come true. The obvious thing is it is dangerous, like everybody thinks, but there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of training, there's a lot of calculations and weather, everything. There's a lot that builds up to the actual jump and proximity. And then we're never flying something that's going to be at our maximum availability. We're always flying something that's a lot steeper than what we can really fly. So you could think of wingsuit base jumping as like getting your doctorate degree in skydiving. So there's a lot of work that goes into it. Just strap on a wingsuit and go find a cliff to jump off of. And then once you are a wingsuit base jumper, there's a lot of calculations and glide ratios and things that go into deciding whether or not that jump is safe for you to jump off of. And then we never fly lines that require us to fly maximum glide. We always fly things that are a lot steeper than what we really need to fly. That way, at any point in time, we can break away from that terrain and gain a little altitude. So you have to be mentally tough because you're standing on the edge of a cliff that's completely unnatural for humans to take flight, to jump off of a cliff. So you have to stay strong, you have to stay tough in your mind and be ready for those moments. Yeah, everything is telling you no, don't jump, but yeah, that mental toughness comes into play. You have to kind of work through that and stay focused on what you're doing. So a tough mind and a strong focus is going to keep you safe in the long run and ensure that you get on the ground safe and ready to do another jump. There's so many variables involved with base jumping and flying proximity. You've got the weather that's huge. You have to have the right wind conditions, lift, certain sides of ridge lines that you're jumping over and through. You kind of want to know what the winds are doing at the exit point, halfway down the mountain, at the landing zone. And so that's just one aspect of it. Then your gear, you want to know what kind of gear you're jumping, the wingsuit. You obviously want to take that out of an airplane or something high above the ground before you take it flying down mountains, 10 feet or lower. So you want to know your gear really well. And then no matter how well you know your gear, you can't really plan on certain things happening. There's all sorts of malfunctions that could happen under canopy. So you can fly your wingsuit down, but at some point you're going to have to open a parachute to land safely. And all a parachute is a bunch of nylon and a bunch of little strings, and then it's packed up into a tight little ball. And so, most of the time it works out really well. But with base jumping, you only have one shot. So if it doesn't work out very well, then you can have a bad day really quick. I think the wingsuiting it can be as safe as you make it. It definitely has its inherent dangers, but everything does. If you skip any steps, it's gonna bite you in the butt. But if you go through the right process, you're gonna end up on top, and you're gonna have a lot of fun times with a lot of cool people. And the red rock here and all the different colors, there's so many different variations of the sandstone here. We jumped off the cliff and we were flying, and it was white sandstone, and then it turned into red, and it was kind of jagged at first, but then it turned into really smooth, kind of flowing sandstone, and then it just cliffs out, 1,000 feet drop at the end, and that's when you kind of flare up and open your parachute in a nice, clean, open air space.